I've been a minimalist for more than 10 years, and it went from just wanting to create some extra space in my bedroom by clearing some of the junk that I'd collected, to loving minimalism because it was a great way to organize my home and my life better, to now where minimalism has become more like a lifestyle that really allows me to focus on what I find most important in my life without all of the clutter and distractions. For today's video, I asked you what your biggest questions and challenges are when it comes to living a more simple, minimal life. And I want to share with you some of the lessons that I've learned and my tips and advice for anyone who wants to minimize and declutter, as well as simplify their life in general. So let's begin. Welcome back everyone, and if you're new here, this is a place where you can get tips and inspiration for living a simpler, happier, and calmer life. Definitely hit subscribe if you haven't already so you can follow along. And this video is kindly sponsored by my friends over at IKKYU Tea. They are the company where I always get my absolute favorite Japanese green teas from. So I'm very excited to be working with them again, and we will chat more about them later. What daily or weekly routines do you have to make sure that your household items stay in their places? We do a quick tidy twice a day, so once in the morning and once before we go to bed, just taking 5-10 minutes, putting everything back in its place, folding the blankets, loading the dishwasher, things like that. The best thing I think here is prevention, so not necessarily the tidying up part, but just making sure that you don't have too many items in your home that you don't need or don't use, as well as making sure that every item in your home has a place to live, like a place where it belongs, so that you never have to wonder where to put something back. It just has a place that you can immediately put it back to, that's where it lives, and that's where you can always find it. So if you have these little items that always just kind of seem to drift and wander around your house, that's most likely because they don't have a home. So give them one. I have something in my eye, wait. No, that's better. How do you politely tell friends and family to stop buying you so much stuff? I think the best thing in this case is communication, managing expectations, and telling people in advance. So instead of saying, you always give me too much stuff, or you always do this, try and keep it from your own perspective. Tell them how you've made the choice to live with less stuff or live a simpler, more minimalist life, and how that is helping you. Not wanting any gifts is still maybe a bit unconventional, so some people just might not get it if you don't give them a bit more context as to why you don't want to receive any more gifts. I find that it also really helps if you can give some alternatives. So you can say, if you really want to give me something, I can always use a batch of your freshly made cookies, or I would love your recipe for XYZ. I would love some fresh flowers or a nice body lotion, or I don't know, something consumable, something that you can use, maybe a gift card for a store that you go to frequently, so that it's just not no, no, no. You're actually saying like, you can do this and that would make me happy. Let's chat about creating a minimalist wardrobe. My problem is clothes. I always try to find a missing piece to have a capsule wardrobe, but then there's another piece missing or it doesn't work. Do you have any advice? This was very relatable to me because I used to feel the exact same way, and I've learned a lesson that I want to share with you now. That is that there is never one piece missing that is going to fix the whole thing for you. There's never going to be just one thing that is like the missing piece of the puzzle that suddenly makes your whole wardrobe make sense. And that's funny because that one thing that we need was the reason that I went shopping as much as I did, because I always felt like there was one thing that I needed, one thing that I was missing. And I ended up with a whole bunch of one things that became just like the rest of the stuff in my closet, which was stuff that I was either insecure about or stuff that I never wore. So my advice is to stop focusing on that one thing, that one missing piece, and instead view your closet, your wardrobe as a whole. In my experience, having a satisfying wardrobe that's also minimal or minimalish starts with decluttering. Just getting rid of all of the things that you never wear, things you never reach for, things that aren't in good condition anymore, things that are not your size, things that are not your color, things that are not flattering, or things that you generally just don't feel good in. And just go from there. I think our wardrobe will always kind of stay a work in progress for most of us, and that is fine, and it at least takes the pressure off of trying to have it perfect. What is the smallest minimalism thing you do? I like this question, and here's my answer. So when it comes to stuff, I changed my default mode from yes, unless there is something really wrong with it, then no, to no, unless it is going to provide me real lasting value, then yes. So it's like this mindset shift, and you can use this when you're deciding whether or not to declutter something, yes or no, to buy something new, yes or no, or accept free gifts, free stuff, yes or no. And you can even use it for things like your hobbies or your calendar and appointments or your social life even. Most people, and I used to be like this too, automatically think that having something is better than not having something. So, you know, this is free, I can't really think of a use for it right now, but I'm sure I will sometime in the future, so yes. Or, you know, just in case items, keeping them around for whenever time you might want them in the future. And they automatically think that having it is better than not having it. But that is also a great way to end up with a lot of stuff and a lot of clutter and a lot of things that you probably don't really use or that don't really provide you enough value to justify them taking up space in your home and in your life. So no as a default mode and only yes if I'm really excited about something. We have a lot more really interesting topics coming up, but first I want to quickly tell you about today's sponsor, IKKYU Tea. It's no surprise by now that I love tea, especially Japanese green tea, and the teas from IKKYU, they have been my ultimate favorites for years now. We drink these every morning and it is always just such a special moment that I look forward to every day. This time they sent me 3 amazing green teas from the tea production area Yame, because this April, Yame City is actually celebrating its 600th anniversary as the tea capital of Kyushu. Yame tea is renowned both in Japan and worldwide for its award-winning green teas. It enjoys a special microclimate, pristine water from the mountains, rich soil, and frequent fogs and mists, and all of these factors contribute to generate more amino acids in the tea leaves, which causes the tea to become even more healthy and tasty. I got a first flush sencha called Yana. This one is amazing, very sweet, lots of umami and no bitterness at all. I also got the Minako, which is a premium organic genmaicha and matcha blend. Genmaicha is tea with toasted Japanese rice, and the matcha that it's mixed with is actually my favorite matcha so far. So this combination is an absolute treat, kind of nutty and toasty, also really nice and sweet. And lastly, the Mirai, which I always include in my orders, just a really lovely sencha, really fragrant and aromatic, but still nice and refreshing. All the teas come with detailed information, including the recommended preparation, so don't be scared if you don't know anything about Japanese green tea. And don't forget, these teas are also so high quality that you can easily rebrew them 3 or even 4 times. Just look at this color. This is absolutely amazing. I'm gonna pour it in a glass so you can see the color. I'm not kidding when I say that IKKYU teas, I've never tried any green teas that come even close to the ones that IKKYU has, and I hope that IKKYU will continue to introduce these teas to the world for a long time to come. You can click the link in the description box to get 15% off on any and all teas you like. Thank you to IKKYU. Let's continue with the video. Can you talk about your cleaning routine and supplies to keep your home clean and clutter-free? I notice you have carpet that looks perfect. Do you own a vacuum? I know that our area rugs and stuff look kind of perfect on screen, but trust me, our home is not, probably ever, perfectly clean. I've talked about this in a previous video, but when it comes to a clean home, I have the 80% rule. That is like 8 out of 10, 4 out of 5 stars. That's clean enough for me. And that is not because I don't find having a clean home important, I really do. But it's just that striving for a perfectly clean home all the time was costing me so much energy, and it's basically impossible. So 8 out of 10, 4 out of 5 stars, that's my rule. I will say that having a robot vacuum has definitely helped us to keep our floors clean. I know it's not like the most minimal thing to have like a gadget like that, but it really does help. For instance, when it comes to these area rugs, as soon as the robot vacuum goes over one, it starts to like power up and go like suck really hard. But you know what I mean, it gets it really clean, and that is very nice because our regular robot vacuum is not as effective when it comes to cleaning these things, so it definitely has made it easier for us. These last couple of months have actually been quite chaotic, so our current cleaning routine is basically, oh crap, someone's coming over and we need to clean. Not something I'm proud of, but just being real with you. We used to have a cleaning schedule, so what I did was basically map out all of the deep cleaning chores that we need to do in the house, map out how often you want to do them, maybe once a month, once every 2 months, once every 3 months, once every 6 months, etc. And then map them out in a digital calendar. This way we usually had like 2 or 3 deep cleaning chores a week, and it kept our house very clean. So after we move, I want to go back to that cleaning schedule again. And when it comes to minimalism and clutter and the amount of things you own, it really is the case that the fewer things you own, the fewer things are out on your surfaces, the easier and easier cleaning will become. And that's one of my favorite things about minimalism, because we have to clean our entire life. So if that's something that we can simplify, then I'm all for it. How do you approach bringing new things into your house? Do you have a list of questions that you keep in mind? The one thing that I always keep in mind when it comes to acquiring new things is basically that it has to bring me more than what it costs me. Not just in terms of money, but also in terms of having to maintain it, clean it, having it take up space in my home. So basically it needs to have more pluses than minuses. There have been so many items that I at one point thought I wanted to buy or get or bring into my home, bring into my life, that I eventually decided against because I didn't feel like it would have more benefits than downsides for me. And I've actually made a whole in-depth video explaining this a while ago. I will leave it in the description box, where I go over the 8 areas of things that you can consider, whether or not it is a plus or a minus. These are money, time, stress, fun, space, convenience, health, and spirit. So I do think about how this new item or new project or new whatever will impact these 8 areas, and if I find the juice to be worth the squeeze. I think it's definitely good to be a bit more intentional and perhaps even more transactional when it comes to the things that we own, because in the end they do need to serve us, and just by being in your home you might think that it's not costing you anything, but it basically is. As Fumio Sasaki said, your things are like your roommates, only you pay their rent. And I really agree with that, so that's what I keep in mind. Can you share some tips on how many everyday items we should keep per person in our household? Non-clothing textiles like bath towels, hand towels, sheets, etc. When it comes to items like this, I don't think that there's like one magic number that's going to work for everyone. It really depends on a lot of different factors and like your personal situation. But I do think that there are a few tricks that can help us. So what I like to do with items like this is using a simple math trick and some common sense. Take bath towels, for example. How many people live in your household and how often do they shower, like on average? Do they use their towels only once, or do they use them a couple of times before they throw them in the hamper? Just some quick math, and that can tell you like the average amount of bath towels that you go through in a week. Let's say your household uses around 14 towels a week on average, and you do laundry once a week, then you need around 14 towels. And if you do laundry twice a week, then you need at least 7 towels. And you can use little math tricks and common sense like this for a lot of different categories, from, you know, sheets and plates and glasses and mugs and bowls and even things like shoes. However, I do want to add that there is something to be said for convenience. In this case, I think convenience is a little bit more important than having like the bare minimum that you can get away with, because having too few towels is going to make your life more complicated probably instead of less, because now you have to do laundry more often. So in my opinion, it doesn't hurt to have like 1 or 2 extras so that you can keep things nice and simple for yourself. How do you declutter sentimental items, and have you ever regretted decluttering one? What motivates you when it comes to decluttering sentimental items? After more than 10 years of minimalism, I can say that I have become quite ruthless. When it comes to decluttering things, I have very little trouble with letting things go. But when it comes to sentimental items, I think that's a category where it can be better to be a bit more cautious and to really take your time, because these are things usually that you won't be able to get back if you decide to declutter them. And because I've been more careful about it, I have never decluttered a sentimental item that I ended up regretting. What mostly motivates me in this area is really, instead of focusing on which sentimental items you want to let go of, instead focus on which are your absolute favorites and how can you make it so that these things can really benefit you and that you can really enjoy them, maybe display them somewhere in your home or have them somewhere available where you can easily like take them out and, you know, peek through them every once in a while and really get a lot of joy from them, because they are not buried in all of the rest of the sentimental items that really don't mean as much to you. So kind of separating the wheat from the chaff, not because you want to be a good minimalist and good minimalists shouldn't have that many sentimental items, but more because you really want to enjoy the ones that are truly meaningful for you. Is it okay to let go of gifts from family members when they are on low income? I feel like I'm disrespecting their hard-earned money spent on a nice gift. Yes, it's okay. As much as getting rid of a gift makes us feel like the most horrible person in the world, horrible, unappreciative monster, it is okay. If something doesn't provide you any real value anymore, it just doesn't make sense to keep it. And whether or not it was a gift doesn't really matter. It is now your item, it's your choice, it is your responsibility. For me, it always feels best if I can make sure to give the item a second home somewhere else or have someone else who can really use it. That feels better than throwing it out, but still. And here again, I think that honest and open communication is key because it is so nice of them to want to give you a gift, especially if they are low income. You can really feel that, it comes from a good place. So maybe they can keep that money for themselves and give you something else like homemade cookies or homemade bar of soap or spending some time together. So it could be really beneficial for you to just have an open and gentle conversation with them so that they can keep the money for themselves and not waste it on gifts for you. I have an overabundance of beauty products. I've sold some, but others aren't selling. When do I tell myself it's been long enough and just try to give it away? Some of these items I've paid a lot of money for, and it drives me crazy thinking of all the money being wasted. I totally get what you mean. It's a sucky feeling having wasted money. So my advice for you comes in 3 words: sunk cost fallacy. This is the phenomenon where a person is reluctant to abandon a strategy or course of action because they have invested heavily in it, even when it is clear that abandonment would be more beneficial. I totally get the frustration of money being wasted, but in the end, keeping these items around is not going to put any of that money back in your pocket. Money spent is money spent. Do try and sell them if you still can, but if they won't sell, then just get them out of your house and, more importantly, out of your mental space. Do remember that in this case, these things do expire, so if they have been open for a while, then you're probably not doing anyone any favors with them. Even if you're giving them away, it's better to just throw them out, I think. And the rest, see if you can give them away. If you cannot sell them, if you can't give them away, and if you cannot use them up yourself, then the trash bin is the only logical place for them, unfortunately. Try not to beat yourself up. There's no point and it's not necessary. Just take the brave step and do it. And this is what I love about minimalism too, because as we become more and more intentional and we learn from our decluttering experience, we can prevent this from happening in the future. So we declutter, we learn from our mistakes, even if they were expensive ones, and we just move on with a smile on our face. What is the biggest lesson that you have learned from decluttering something? I'm really curious to know, so leave that in the comment section down below. Big thanks to IKKYU Tea for supporting the channel again. And as always, questions, comments, conversations down below. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you all again soon. Bye-bye. Moving day is approaching fast. By the time this video goes up, we get the keys in only a week.